you want to lose weight and you want to do it the scientific way, then stay tuned and I'll tell you more how to go about it. I'm Dr. Mazhar Hussain. Do subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so that you're updated with our videos. Do let me know if you want us to make a video on a certain subject. We'll look into it, and of course you're more than welcome to share this video with your friends and family. We talk about weight loss. So how do we do that? Before we go to that, I think we need to understand what causes weight gain in the first place, and there are multiple reasons. So one of the reasons is insulin resistance. Insulin resistance causes weight gain causes more insulin resistance, and we are in a vicious cycle. So sometimes patients may say to me, look doc, I really don't eat much, but I can't seem to lose weight. And they could be telling the truth, because their insulin resistance is simply not making it possible for them to lose weight because they don't go about it the scientific way. There are a number of other reasons why you could gain weight. It could be hypothyroidism, vitamin D deficiency, sleep disorders, sorry, low testosterone, sedentary lifestyle, lack of exercise, physical activity, PCOS, congestive heart disease, and many other reasons. And the reason those are important because that is part of what we need to address. If you have weight gain and you want to lose that weight, we need to know whether something is happening inside your body, the black box that the body is, what is going on inside, rather than just focusing on the weight and the diet. So first of all, we want you to start out with a weight loss session where we go through a number of things with you, and we'll be talking about what is the normal blood glucose level, what does insulin do in the body, why do we have insulin, what's the purpose, and what's the damage it can do if we spike it too much. We'll be talking about glucose, we'll be talking about carbohydrates, proteins, so that you have a very good understanding of what really happens and how you gain weight, apart from the reasons I just mentioned right before. So the weight loss session is the key here, because we want you to really understand what's happening. And I think it's also much more motivating if you know why we are doing what we're doing. It's not like we just hand you a plan and say, this is what you need to do. We want you to understand the process and how we go there, how we reach our goals. And we need to do measurements here. So with the measurements, we can see your waist to height ratio, your waist to hip ratio. We can calculate your BMI. Your BMI may not change, but your waist to hip ratio maybe changes, or waist to height ratio maybe changes. Your blood pressure may go down even if your weight is not moving. So we need to be able to understand what is, where is your body today. We need to establish a baseline so that we can use that in our further assessments down the road as you lose weight. Or even if you don't lose weight, we need to understand, why is it you're not losing weight? Is it because you're increasing your muscle mass, or is it simply because it's not working for you? Are you cheating, or are you eating something that you don't really understand were not part of the diet? Or there could be other misunderstandings. It could be the way we explained it was not correct. So there are a number of things we need to look at to be able to guide you, and the measurements are part of that process. And we need to diagnose also. We need to know, again, as I said, there are a number of causes and there are a number of reasons why you could gain weight. We need to know if you have a vitamin D deficiency, if you've got hypothyroidism, if you have ferritin or iron deficiency that could hinder you from losing weight. So we need to know that. We need to, from your history, try to assess what is important in your case, what kind of information are we lacking, what kind of things do we suspect. Do you have a fatty liver situation? Should we address that? How do we address that? So we need, from a medical perspective, we need to know where we are starting out from, not only just with your measurements, but also with your the black box that the body is. We need to understand what's happening inside you. And I think that's why it's important that you're followed by a doctor, so that we actually know what is the way to follow up on you and what measures do we need to take. And then, of course, we can't really talk about weight loss and not talk about diet, because one of the reasons we are gaining weight is for the modern food that we are eating, processed food, a lot of carbs, fast food is going in, cakes, chocolates, smoothies, shakes, you name it, soft drinks, going to the cinema and munching on stuff all the time. So we, of course, need to talk about weight. Well, we have primarily two ways we want to work with you with weight, but we are not stuck in one place. It really depends on your situation. But one of the two most common methods we apply is either ketosis. Ketosis can be, if you are new to all this, it can be something that is overwhelming. Unfortunately, you don't really need to go into ketosis to be able to lose weight. Low carb, high fat is enough. Now, what is low carb? It really depends on your situation. We might define 20 grams of low carb, 20 grams of carb as low carb. We might also go for 30, 50 or even more. Depends on your situation. So my mother, we took her off insulin in 1 month's time. She had been using it for 15 years, 16 years. And we took her off insulin in 1 month. Over 4 months, we took her off total 5 medicines, including insulin. Now, she was doing low carb, high fat. Had we done a ketogenic diet strictly, she might not have been able to follow that diet. And she had her cheat days also. So had we done it with the ketogenic diet, I think we'd have reached the same place in maybe 2 months. And it happened 4 months. But rather reach your goal in 4 months than not reaching your goal at all. So it's not really a disaster. If you feel there are certain things that we need to adjust, we need to adjust it. We need to try to work with your situation, like I did with my mother, where low carb, high fat, and not even strictly low carb, but a modified low carb, high fat, that actually could work in her situation. And with that, she came off 5 medicines in 4 months. Would have been faster with just ketosis, but what's the hurry? She has been doing this for 14, 15, 16 years with the insulin. She has been taking blood pressure medicines for 30 years plus. So whether it takes 2 months or 4 months, the important thing is that she sees the change. She feels the pain in her shoulders, her back is going away. She feels fresh and she feels rejuvenated. Her whole body is rejuvenated. So that's what's really important, is that we are working and we are moving in the right direction. So apart from the food, we also look at intermittent fasting. So it's not just about what you eat, it's also about when you eat it. Intermittent fasting, there are a number of protocols. You can go for 16-4 or 16-8, 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of eating. You can go for 24, 20 hours fasting, 4 hours of eating. I personally mostly do 1 meal a day, or I do 20 plus 4, 20 hours fasting, 4 hours of eating window. And you eat to satiety. Regardless, our plan is whether you go with or without intermittent fasting, you eat to satiety. So you don't really need to worry about going hungry all the time. That's not what we want you to do. We want you to do something that is actually sustainable in the long term. So we can use the ketogenic diet, we can use low carb, high fat, we can use intermittent fasting. It can be used in combination, the diet and the intermittent fasting in combination. We can also do extended fasting, beyond 24 hours, 36 hours, 3 days. But usually that is not something we really bother about for weight loss. But if you're looking for some health benefits, autophagy, then we might look into that also, and we might recommend you that if there are certain reasons why, if you have some severe autoimmune disease or other reasons, inflammation going on in your body, and then we might say, well, okay, apart from the diet, apart from the weight loss, let's look into this also. Exercise. So I believe exercise is very important. It's very good for your health. You need to exercise your heart, your body, your arteries, your blood pressure, your diabetes, nearly from every perspective. Exercise is good. But as far as weight loss specifically concerns, you don't really need to exercise to lose weight. You need to just work with your food and do it the scientific way, rather than just doing it in a random pattern and just following the, well, unfortunately, the official guidelines in many countries are not really helpful. But exercise can be good for your health. You don't need it for the weight loss. Maybe it will contribute up to 20%. If you do exercise, I do recommend you do it because it's good for you. You will be more healthy, and your body will be more healthy. Your body will be more sustainable, and your endurance will increase. So exercise is good, not required for weight loss, but I still do recommend it. So then the last point is follow-up. We need to follow up on how things are moving forward, or if they're not moving forward, we need to find out what's wrong. We need to see whether your general health is improving. We need to look into your well-being. We need to take the measurements. Say if your weight is not moving anywhere, you started exercising, you started our diet plan, you could be gaining muscle and losing body fat, but your weight is still where it needs to be. Your weight is not moving, and but your waist to hip ratio is better, your waist to height ratio is better, and we could be still happy with that, because it indicates it's just a reflection of the fact that 1 kilo muscle takes up less space than 1 kilo of fat. So if you're losing in inches and your measurements are moving in the right direction, your BMI could be completely unchanged because you haven't lost any weight, and but your waist to height ratio, your waist to hip ratio is improving. We could still be happy. We could also measure other aspects. Say if you have fatty liver, we need to find out whether your liver is improving or not. It's important to follow those things. We need to see if your vitamin D deficiency, iron deficiency is improving. Is your hypothyroidism moving in the right direction? We need to follow that. With the lipids, we need to follow that, because say if you come here, you go home, you start searching on the internet, you get frustrated because I want you to take high fat, low carbs, exactly the opposite of the official recommendations in many countries. And you might be worried, well, this is not good for me, I've already got heart disease and so on. So I may as well tell you now, but we'll look into this in the follow-up also, so that you get a specific feedback on your situation. But I may as well tell you now, we have a video on cholesterol. And that video is something I definitely believe you should see. Now, dietary fat intake does not really reflect or change your cholesterol level in 60% of the people, and in 40% it does actually impact on your cholesterol level. We call those 40% hyper-responders. But the way it changes is that it changes the healthy cholesterol in the right direction. So it's actually protective against heart disease. So that is something you might be very surprised to know. As I said, we have this separate video on this, and it will help you to understand why it is that we're not worried about that. My mother, she had deranged lipids. We still gave her high fat, and it's still working in the right direction. And the measurement we are more inclined to use is the triglyceride over HDL ratio. That is really what we want to follow, because that is a more precise reflection of your risk of having a heart disease and others. But these things are important, because say you come here, we tell you to take high fat, you maybe had a question, you couldn't ask it, you didn't get time, or you forgot about it. You go home, you search the internet, and then you maybe modify your food accordingly because you are not really comfortable about taking so much fat. And we need to address these things so that we can make sure that we are on the same page as we go forward. I think it gives the patient and it gives us the confidence that things are we are really on the same page. So I think this is something that can't really be missed. If you have any question, they may pop up from your first visit to your next visit, and you may or may not have time to speak to us on the phone or something. And it's important we sit down face to face and address the specific questions that you may have, so that again, we are speaking the same language essentially. So, how to lose weight? If we just summarize, we need this weight loss session. We do some measurements. We'd want to diagnose and find out what your situation and status is. We would introduce keto or low carb, high fat diet and intermittent fasting. We may also look into other diets if that's more relevant in your situation. Maybe Atkins would be relevant, or maybe we just need to adjust very few things and you can carry on as normal. We might help you with the exercise. If you want to do exercise, we might recommend you sit training, sprint interval training, or HIIT training, but it depends on your situation, and ultimately follow-ups so that we know what's happening. Now, I don't think it can be done. I know it can. I know if you work along with science, if you work along with your body, you really make sure that you don't work against your body, you don't work against the science, then you can lose weight. You can reduce your insulin or get out of your insulin if you're diabetic. You can reduce your blood pressure medication, and you can move out of your statins. There are so many things that can be done. And I've done it for my patients, I've done it for my family, and it's simply something that you really, really need to try out. And if you go with a very strict version, if you go into the ketogenic with intermittent fasting, within a month's time, I believe you'll have tremendous changes. If you do a more modified version, maybe 2 months. And if you want to take it easy, but you still want to have the change, maybe you're looking 3 to 4 months. But you will see things are improving, and the blood tests will be improving, the measurements will be improving, you will feel better, your pain should go down. My mother had shoulder pain, back pain for a long time, was on medication. We took her off ibuprofen and paracetamol, and she's more active now than she used to be before. So this is something you really can do. So do let us know if this is something you want, then we should be able to help you out. So this concludes our video on how to lose weight, and of course you are more than welcome to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so that you are updated with our videos, and if you want us to make a video on any specific subjects, let us know, we'll look into it. You're more than welcome to share this video with your friends and family. I think most people could benefit from watching a video on how to lose weight, because it is a huge problem, and the reality is that most countries cannot really afford to have the obesity that we see in society. Whether it's industrialized developed countries or developing countries, we are still in the same boat as far as overweight is concerned, and it simply leads to so many problems. So better to sort it out rather than having to suffer the problems later on in life. That's all for now. Thank you very much.